What is permaculture? To celebrate the announcement of my next book, The Permaculture Garden, available to pre-order now, I thought I'd answer the most common question. What is permaculture? In a nutshell, permaculture is nature-inspired design. It's about planning or doing something with a specific goal, guided by how nature works. For example, planting a garden in a way that takes inspiration from the multiple plant layers found in forests in order for you to maximise space efficiently. So why turn to nature? Nature has spent millions of years perfecting efficient, resilient systems. By learning from nature, we can create solutions that are sustainable, low maintenance, and adaptable to change. Nature's systems work in harmony, with every element supporting the others. Using this as a guide allows us to create gardens, farms, and communities where all parts work together like a team. Permaculture was founded in the 70s by two Australians, Bill Mollison and David Holmgren, and the word comes from the joining of permanent agriculture. The original goal of permaculture was to create productive, sustainable and self-sufficient agricultural systems by emulating the efficiency and patterns of natural ecosystems. One common phrase that you hear in the permaculture community is to work with nature, not against it. The more that you try and work against nature, the more energy and resources and effort you need to maintain your garden. Take weeds, for example. Instead of fighting them, you could plant ground cover or mulch bare soil to naturally suppress them and improve soil health. Or you could even learn to work with the weeds. This nettle here, for example, is an edible weed growing amongst the leeks which I can enjoy. Because another popular phrase in permaculture is the problem is actually the solution. Mimicking the diversity in nature allows us to create very robust gardens, farms and communities that are much better at dealing with challenges, for example, droughts or resource shortages. In diverse ecosystems such as a woodland, the natural diversity and the polyculture of all of the different plants and animals helps to keep a balance on pests and diseases. And this is something us gardeners can benefit from. I love permaculture because instead of it being a rigid rulebook, it provides us with a set of principles that help us to make informed decisions based on what our goals are and our environment is. So there are 12 permaculture principles, but you don't need to use all of them to get started with. What I always recommend is choose 2 or 3 that really kind of speak to you and build on from there. The more principles that you then incorporate, the more productive and efficient your garden becomes. But here are 3 in particular that I really like. Catch and store energy. Capture resources like sunlight, water, nutrients, or even passionate individuals when they're available. For example, collecting rainwater in a tank for future use, or a community garden building a strong team of volunteers. Produce no waste. In nature, there is no such thing as waste. Every single element contributes to the cycle of life. Take these fallen leaves, for example. These aren't here to be discarded. They're going to break down and nourish the soil for future years. You can replicate this in your garden by turning kitchen scraps into compost or chop and dropping plant material. Use and value renewable resources and service. This means making the most of natural resources that can be replenished and the natural processes that help your garden thrive. For example, you can use cut grass as a mulch, which is a renewable resource, and attract beneficial insects to act as natural pest control, which is a renewable service. So in addition to these 12 principles, permaculture has 3 main ethics. Earth care. This is about taking responsibility for the well-being of our planet to make sure that ecosystems remain healthy and that we regenerate ones that are damaged. People care. Focusing on the well-being of individuals and communities, making sure basic needs are met in a way that promotes health, happiness and sustainability. Fair share. Recognising the importance of redistributing surplus resources, whether it's knowledge, food or energy, to benefit both people and the planet. The role of these ethics is quite simply to provide a set of fundamental values, just to make sure that whatever we're doing in our gardens and in our communities are benefiting not just nature, but also ourselves and our neighbours. So permaculture, it's all about seeking opportunities, and it's about making sure that the time that we do spend creating and then maintaining our gardens give us as many benefits as possible, like raspberries. One of the reasons why I'm so drawn to permaculture is that one of its core emphasis is on how to be more self-sufficient. Like, if you're wanting to be more self-sufficient, if you're wanting to work with the land, to work with resources, the principles in permaculture help make sure that you're just making the most of everything. And it is so nice because it is a format that anyone can use to help create a more reliable, a more abundant, a more kind of self-sufficient, a more resilient garden. With permaculture, your garden becomes a dependable, secure source of nourishment, offering peace of mind and confidence in your ability to provide for yourself. Permaculture is the art of hope. It's about cultivating more than just a garden. It's about cultivating a positive future, but it does start in the soil, in our backyards and on our allotments. And that's why I wrote the Permaculture Garden, to give you a practical, no-nonsense guide to creating a productive and ecological kitchen garden. The book is packed with growing advice on over 130 perennial and annual crops, tips on building soil health, techniques to creating thriving polycultures, and much more. If you're serious about food security, self-sufficiency and looking after our natural world, then permaculture empowers you to create a garden that is abundant with life and abundant when it comes to food. So if you're ready to work with nature and create your own edible paradise, then pre-order your copy of the Permaculture Garden today to turn your space into a productive and beautiful ecosystem.